I had just changed out of my work uniform and sat down at my desk to write a letter to my mother when... Ah, okay, good. I'm glad this worked out. My door slammed open and Peggy entered walking like a zombie. Wasn't sure when you were going to show up again. Peggy, is something wrong? She looked at me, tears filling her eyes. Oh, Malia, this world is full of heartless assholes who only think about themselves. Uh-oh, you figured it out? She shot me a glare and I chuckled. Okay, but what really happened? She cast her eyes down at the floor and started drawing circles with her foot. My petition. I'm guessing you didn't manage to reach 5,000 signatures. She gave a heavy sniff, confirming my thoughts. Oh, now I can finally hug you. Well, that's okay. Come here. I lifted my arms in what I hoped was a comforting way, and Peggy collapsed into me, clinging onto my shirt like a frightened kitten. Aw, poor Peggy. I wish I had a picture of that. I worked so hard! I know you did. No one else would have worked as hard as you did. You even helped and it wasn't enough! It's okay. Don't worry. This is a minor setback in the grand scheme of things. I know you. You'll pull through in no time and find another small way to help save the Earth. We don't have recycling here at the hostel, after all. You could badger James about that. She sniffed and I stroked her hair. We stood for a few more minutes in silence. Do you want to sit down or something? She nodded into my shoulder, then Zombie walked over to my bed. She fell into it like a lump of clay. I know I can't give up now, but I'm just so frustrated. Nobody cares, but they should. If they cared a little bit more, the world could be so much better. But they don't want to feel bad, so they don't. There's a literal Holocaust going down in North Korea, and does anyone care? No! They're all just worried about their little gardens, while people are suffering. I can't even blame them is the sad part. I nodded and Peggy yawned. Oh, it's just not fair, and if I could... Peggy? I glanced at her. She was fast asleep, mouth open on my pillow. Now that I was looking at her, she had heavy bags under her eyes and her hair looked more frazzled than usual. When was the last time she slept? In light of that, I let her have a nap on my bed. At least she didn't snore much. It wasn't until late that night that Peggy opened her eyes again. What? Where am I? You fell asleep in my room. Mid-sentence, might I add. Seriously? What time is it? Oh my god, 9 already? I have work to do. I'm way off schedule. Peggy, how much stuff are you doing? Not that much. I mean, I'm a chemistry major and I like to study biology in my spare time, so there's a bit of homework from that. And then my part-time job, the volleyball team, and the green clubs, and my mates have a band on weekends. You're doing all of that? How? She shrugged. You have got to look after yourself. If you stretch yourself so thin, one of these days you're going to snap. If you say so. I do. And are you eating well? Oh, this is interesting. We're having like a completely different... Like we're more aggro this time, I guess because we really care about her. Nice. I'm not just living off crisps and lager. I take vitamins. Peggy! Promise me you'll eat some vegetables before you go to sleep and drink some water. But Malia, promise me. Fine, I promise. I know you care about the world, but you have to care about you too. Make sure you get some sleep and try not to stress out. If you get stressed, come talk to me again. I'll hug you until you feel better. Oh. Peggy's face colored and she hopped off my bed. Right. Well, thanks for the help. I'm gonna go now. Cheers! And she scuttled out of the room. Whoops. Did I just come on to her? Unintentionally came on to her. And did she just turn me down? I really wasn't sure. She was tired, and I only meant to be friendly. Mostly. It was easy to care about her. She was so enthusiastic, like a little terrier. Can't unsee. I wanted to see her succeed so I could cheer for her. She wasn't flawlessly polished and sophisticated like I'd been afraid all the English were. Being around her made me feel more relaxed. Mostly. Anyway, I should get back to work. Yes, quite, Malia. Wow, she went down just... this train of thought. I crept into the dining area, following my nose. Somebody had cooked something lovely. Oh, hello, everybody. Well... there we go. Okay. And you know what? Whatever, Aussie. I'm just gonna leave you alone. I got stuff to do. And there's Jihyo. Joke about Star Wars. Ashley. Danny. Aussie and oh, there we go. Peggy! I was in the library working on some computer problems when suddenly Peggy ran up to me. Malia, you have to help me! I was catching up on my homework and I lost track of time and I have these chem exercises and I need the reference book for them and it's an hourly checkout and I'm not done and... I could barely follow what she was saying when she started talking this quickly. The rules say the same person can't renew a reference because if they did they could hog it. And I don't mean to hog it, but I'm not done and can you please go check this out on your card? I paused for a moment while my brain caught up with all of that. I'm not sure that's a good idea. There's usually a waiting list for reference books. If I take it back to the counter, it'll just go to the next person who requested it. Her face fell. But I'm not done! So keep it until you're done and then return it. You only need another hour, right? The fine won't be that big. Or, actually, if you know what pages you need, maybe you should just photocopy them. Then you can take the book back for the next person. She looked even more distraught, and I tried to figure out my mistake. I guess photocopies are wasting paper, but you can recycle them, right? I don't have any money with me. Oh. I reflexively patted my pockets, but I didn't really have much to spare, considering. Don't worry, Ninja Mark is here. Here. Whoa, Ninja Mark! Where did he come from? He handed a copy card to Peggy. Get what you need, then bring it back. Without even waiting for a response, he turned and walked back towards the philosophy section. Huh. He's not so bad sometimes. We all want to help Peggy out. Just can't help ourselves with this little terrier. Alright, time to get mad at Angie again. And then Brendan, barf. Maybe you're just a jerk. Did you ever think about that? Yeah, let's just not get into that. Whoops. Alright, hey Peggy. Boop. Ominous music, goodbye. But there was this time in sixth form. Oh, here we go. At Peggy's words, everyone in the room became intensely focused in the meal Ashley had prepared for us. Peggy didn't seem to notice the disinterest. Stephanie was on and on about how she had this horse back at the manor. Seriously, she said it like that. The manor. And a saddle with diamonds on it. And we thought she was a right twat, as anybody else probably would. But then her parents actually brought her horse around, and it really did have a diamond saddle. Titchy little ones like you'd see on a handbag, right? Either diamonds or rhinestones, but her family was proper flush, so I think it really was diamonds. Totally bling. And then this other girl, Dana? I can't remember, tried to nick it. Not the saddle, the entire horse. She got on when no one was looking and just rode off. Of course, she got herself nicked then, and the fuzz brought her back, crying all over the place. God, she was the worst. I remember one time she caught on to a boy named Alexander, who was dating another girl in the form. Peggy! I jumped. Peggy stared wide-eyed at Aussie, who had slammed her fist onto the table. I'm sick of hearing about your sixth form. Do you think any of us care? We don't know these people. We will never know these people. We do not care about these people. Most of these stories aren't even interesting.
The diamond saddle was a little interesting.
Oh, so she's 1 for 12. Let's give her a round of applause. Aussie glared at Ashley, who looked away. I swear, if I ever have to hear about your sixth form again, I'll smack you across the face. Learn to read the room. Maybe if you did, you wouldn't be so bloody annoying. Finished with her tirade, Aussie grabbed herself another helping of noodles and took her plate and left the room. Boy, that was mean, wasn't it? Peggy laughed nervously and we avoided her eyes. Wasn't it? She was out of line, wasn't she? A stiff silence met her question. After a few seconds, Ashley squeaked up.
She was definitely a little harsh, if you ask me.
Right. Peggy fiddled with her fork for the rest of the meal, which didn't last very long. Suddenly everyone grew ravenous and finished their food in moments, at which point they hastily shuffled out of the room. Oh. Interesting. Finally, it was just Peggy and me, which was partly because I was a terribly slow eater. Hey, Malia.
Yes, Peggy?
Am I annoying? Aww. Not at all. I feel like Peggy would appreciate honesty. Hold on. We'll do a just in case. I'm gonna say a little, but I like you anyway. Peggy winced. Ouch. Wait, really? You do? Of course. Screw them. Maybe they don't like it, but you don't have to go around pleasing everybody. If you like the way you are, then that's what's most important. Do you? Oops. Peggy seems so tough and determined. I never really thought of her as insecure. Okay, but are the reasons you don't like yourself legitimate, or are you just being mean? I'm guessing you're being mean. You're kind, smart, energetic, passionate, and all about saving and protecting people. You've got nothing to feel bad about. Sure, maybe you talk a lot sometimes, but I talk too little, so we balance each other out. Right? She beamed at me. Maybe we're both wrong. She didn't seem upset anymore, at least. I think we did good. Peggy gathered up her things. I should go. Thanks, Malia. She took her plate to the sink, a thoughtful smile on her face. I guess she'd still think the situation over, and maybe she would make some changes. But at least if she did, she would make them because she wanted to make them, not because Aussie told her to. Looks like I did good. Yay! I'm liking all these new scenes. That's really nice. I woke with a shudder. I'd had a terrible nightmare about getting trapped in the Eurotunnel on the train between England and France, stuck down there in the dark with the entire English Channel over my head. Gah! Rubbing my eyes, I crawled out of bed and started to get ready for the day. I had just pulled on my clothes when there was a light rapping against my door. Oh, it's just Chikyo. Not this time, girl. Okay, you guys are doing stuff. I can let it go. No. Bye, Brandon. Until I can't say goodbye anymore. Alright, we're in England. Ah, hey! I have the option! Pursue Peggy. I really wasn't sure where things stood with me and Peggy. We were friends, sure, and she turned to me for help sometimes, but was she interested? It seemed most likely that she wasn't. She never given any sign of being attracted to girls, not that I could tell. She talked about her old sixth form friends a lot, but she'd never mentioned having crushes on them. It was probably guys like Danny who caught her eye. Tall and dependable and muscular and studious and nothing at all like me. Oh, Malia. Still, I didn't know that for sure. We never talked about men. I came here to England to take chances, to be less of a coward about talking to people, to try things even if they might not work out. What was the worst that could happen? She got creeped out and avoided me for the rest of the semester? Well, that would kind of suck, but it would only be a few months. I could survive. And that was the worst case. It probably wouldn't happen like that. More likely, what would happen would be someone knocking on my door.
Hey, Malia, you in there?
Did I summon you? I opened the door. Malia, are you busy? Not exactly. Great, come with me. What? Where? Oh, right. See, some of my mates have a band. Think I told you about it before, called Rattle Prams? And they have a gig at a club tonight, and I promised I'd go, so I was hoping you'd come with. Please? Sure. Maybe it would be better to talk about our relationship afterwards. I didn't want to spoil her plans. For some reason, I was expecting a coffee house and an angry, short-haired woman with a guitar. That was not what I got. Whoa! Nice! What kind of music is this? It's called sludge! What? Sludge metal! It's a kind of heavy metal punk fusion! Any other questions I might have had turned out to be useless because she couldn't hear me over the growling bass and the screaming singer. Sweet. After the show was over, we took the tube back to the hostel. Well, after that... Peggy, I wanted to... What? Sorry, can't hear you. My ears are still ringing. I'll catch up with you next week, okay, Malia? I'm going home to see my folks for spring break. At this rate, I'd be back in America before I could even find out how she felt about me. Well, at least you got introduced to sludge metal. I sat on my bed in the hostel feeling a little out of sorts. With no classes this week because of the half-term break, I had extra time on my hands. I just wasn't quite sure what to do with it. I did wish I could have gone home for a visit. It would be nice to catch up with Jinsu and Nene and let them know how my adventure had been going so far. Right, I should call them later this evening when the time difference would make it reasonable. But that was for later. What should I do with my time now and for the rest of this week? Let's exercise. My job kept me on my feet all the time, but that wasn't the same as focused, sustained exercise. Just because I was off in a foreign land was no excuse to ignore my health. There was probably no way I could afford to visit a gym in London, was there? I did some internet research and was surprised at how many leisure centers were actually available. They had gyms, swimming pools, climbing walls, courts and classes for all kinds of sports. I was briefly confused by squash being a sport, but apparently it was some kind of racquetball. Really? Is squash not a thing in America? We have a bunch of squash courts here in Canada. I didn't realize that was a very English thing. Huh. I learned something new again. It had been ages since I'd been swimming, and the weather was starting to get warmer now. That would probably be fun. Well, there was no time like the present. This break was only 1 week after all. Really? There's no such thing as squash. How interesting. My brother-in-law actually plays squash fairly regularly. I lay back in my bed enjoying a lazy morning. Today was St. Paddy's Day. Back home it would be an excuse for people to paint themselves green and hit the bars and get totally wasted. At least people who were old enough to drink. Here in England I was old enough, but I wasn't sure that was really how I wanted to spend my day or my limited budget. Sure, I could drop into the Crafty Crown easily enough, and in the past Brendan had been eager to offer me free drinks, but considering the way our last encounter ended, I didn't really want to be around him right now. Well, London certainly wasn't short on pubs. Maybe I should go out and find somewhere different, just for comparison. But I was definitely not going to get myself puking drunk. I had more sense than that. Flashback to Angelo's route. Give me a piggyback ride! Oh my goodness. On Sunday, Peggy returned to the hostel. Hello, everybody! Since I was the only one outside, no one else reacted to that. Hi, Peggy. How was your trip? Ace, my mom was made up to see me, and she washed all my clothes, too. I looked down at the bulging bags Peggy was carrying. Did she take all her clothing home? You, have done laundry while you've been living here, right? When would I have time? Besides, dryers are bad for the environment. My mum's got a clothesline in the garden. That's the way to do it. Speaking of, I've got to get these in quick snap and look at my books. I've got Chem first thing tomorrow morning, and Wait! What is it? Can we talk? Are we not talking now? I meant about things. Personal things. She just blinked at me. Look, are you seeing anyone? No. Would you like to be? Huh? Oh! Malia, you... She set down her suitcases. I never really thought about you like that. I had no idea that you... I don't know how I feel either. You don't? Well, I'm not saying I'm in love with you or anything crazy like that. I like you. I'd like to go on a date with you and see what happens. I know you're probably not into girls. I don't know, actually. I've never tried. Me either. I'm the first. I guess I should be flattered. You're my first everything. If you actually go out with me, I mean. She laughed, but it sounded more nervous than amused. I really do need to get my bags in and go over my assignments. I know, and I know you're really busy with all your classes and your hobbies and your causes and everything, but do you think you could find a little time for us? Just to see? I feel bad. I really can't this week. I'm so sorry. I'm way behind. I've been slacking off and She looked like she was about to burst into tears. I hastened to reassure her. Then how about next week? It's not like I'm going anywhere. Okay. She looked at me like she wanted to say something else, then blushed and hurried into the hostel. Yes, I had a date! Sort of. Well, this should be interesting. The spring semester break was over and classes were on again. That didn't really mean so much for the university. No huge changes were going to happen. Classes would go on the same as they ever did. For me, though, it meant that my time in England was a bit less than half over. I had the rest of the semester, then final exams, and a couple of extra weeks at the end to enjoy my vacation, and then I would leave. Maybe I would be able to come back to England someday, or maybe that would be the end forever. I didn't know. I had met a lot of people here. I had my group of relationships, and I probably wasn't going to make strong bonds with anyone new. My path was set. From here on out, I would be seeing the results of my choices so far. Dun dun dun. Well, let's get to it. A passing gentleman blinked at me talking to myself, but he didn't say anything. Of course he didn't. The British hated to raise a fuss, after all. I couldn't help laughing quietly as I went on my way to class. Oh. Bye. I'll do gardening myself, thanks. Okay. Ashley's missing her thing? Well, here we go. Someone was banging on my door. Come on, Malia, let's get going. Where? Oh, right, our date. Really, you forgot about your date? Peggy had finally managed to find some time to spend with me, alone, outside the hostel. Of course, being Peggy, she'd gotten overwhelmed with enthusiasm for an idea. Do go on. What are you guys doing? You better not be skydiving or something crazy. Ah! Okay, you're ice skating. That's fine. A small body crashed into mine, and I started dancing on the ice, trying desperately not to fall. And then we were both on the ice, me rubbing my rear and Peggy across my stomach. You're going ice skating in a tank top, girl? You crazy. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. It's fine. Ugh, that really hurt. but only for a moment. I grinned and helped her off of me, then slowly and carefully rose to my own feet. Go more slowly this time, okay? I'm surprised you've never skated before, though. You seem like you'd try anything once. That's what I'm doing now, aren't I? But ice skating always seemed like the kind of thing tiny fairy princesses did. Not that fairy princesses are bad, it's just that I never really fit in with that kind of image. She laughed somewhat self-consciously. I mean, I'm loud and obnoxious. We've covered that before. You know, you can fit whatever image you want. I almost feel like you fit the fairy princess image better because you are the way you are. You think a tiny little fairy is gonna be all demure and whatnot? Heck no! Fairies can fly, and dive bomb like wasps. Tiny little things can be vicious. Probably break into your house and steal your silver and your underwear too. That's boggarts, not fairies. And a fairy princess of all things. She'd be busy running the world, looking after all her subjects, traveling to all corners, yelling at her idiot minions and demanding respect. Like you. So don't worry about that. Peggy blushed and then her eyes got really shiny. Really? Do you think so? You're not gonna cry, are you? No, I'm not. You're totally crying. That was not what I wanted to achieve on this date. She wiped her eyes, giggling. Never mind then. Let's get back to having fun. She kicked off hard and... Ow! Not again. After we finished skating, we sat down for drinks and snacks. Peggy kept spontaneously giggling, but every time I asked her what she was giggling at, she rolled her eyes or looked away. On the next batch of giggles, I felt a little annoyed. Stop it! What exactly is so funny? Do I have something on my face? What is it? No, you're just... It's hard to explain. You're just being you. I keep thinking, that's such a MALIA thing to do. I glared at her and she giggled even more. So, you think you know me, do you? Maybe. Well, enough for this at least. Oh, well. She leaned over the table and gave me a quick kiss. Unfortunately, I was so startled that my knee bumped the table and knocked my drink over. Oh, bugger! Sorry, that was my fault. We both scrambled for napkins to clean up the spill and banged our heads into each other in the process. I couldn't help laughing. That is such a Peggy thing to do. Hey! I giggled again and she pouted, then relaxed. So, is this okay? What? Us? Dating? Seems pretty okay to me. Is it okay for you? Yes. Good. Well, that worked out well. Nice.